teachers inside of the classroom as well. Their feedback is also of value. So one of our students, they had a check-in question. It says, what do you think about the New York City restaurants opening up yesterday? You know, will you be using them? And students had an opportunity to sort of write in their response, and it was a really helpful thing. Another strategy that I like to use, and I think a lot of my colleagues who are teaching at the adjunct level, they probably do this as well, is I've modified my assignments significantly for this semester. So for example, in light of having a midterm paper, instead, the students keep a COVID-19 journal where they respond to prompts each week. And this is a public journal that's open to the students in the class on our Blackboard website. And it's a great way for students to document what they've been experiencing during this time. And I've enjoyed reading it. I've enjoyed sharing my own entries inside of it. And it's a way for everyone to just have a sense of community when we're also isolated across all the different boroughs where my students are logging in from. And then the last thing that I'll talk about very briefly is that I like to introduce an element of fun inside of my classes. So even though this is stressful times and we're trying to manage right now, I do something called bingo. So sometimes if I'm teaching a class about the principles of health science, for example, and I'm talking about public health achievements, or I'm talking about vaccinations, if there's certain words that come up, the students have to sort of check it off on their bingo sheet, and I make like a big noise, and we get excited. And it's a way to make sure that the students are actually paying attention and listening inside of the classroom. And I also have played Jeopardy with the students. So there are ways to keep the class sort of lighthearted and to feel a little bit stress-free during the classes. And those are just some of the strategies that I use in the classroom. So Christina, I'm going to turn it back over to you now.
Okay. Thank you so much, Adashima. So we'd love for you to tell us about you. If you could just take a moment to share in the chat. One, if you're teaching this semester, and two, where and what you teach.
Great, we're seeing some great responses coming already. Biology labs, American history, literary history, English linguistics.
Wow, 7 online classes.
Wow. Visual communications, critical thinking. So we see a wide diversity of topics here: anthropology, women's and gender studies.
Wow. Yeah, we are struggling with you. I've noticed from a lot of different conversations people are having that no matter how long you've been teaching, it feels like teaching for the very first time. I know I feel that way, and it is so overwhelming. It's definitely the struggle is real. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing in the chat. And also, Adashima, do you want to lead us in the next activity?
Sure. So if you are continuing to type in what you're teaching or where you're teaching, please continue to do so. It's very important for the discussion. So what Christina and I would like to do, we shared a couple of our strategies, and we literally just scratched the surface of some of the things that we're doing inside the classroom. But we'd like to also open it up to you all to hear some of the strategies that you might be using inside of the classroom, what sort of things you may be struggling with. So we want to do an exercise called Think, Pear, Share, or TPS for short. This is an exercise that I use in my class all the time, and I'm sure many of the FI fellows are familiar with this TPS concept. So basically the T is about thinking, right? So you're going to think about a strategy you find effective for teaching online or a problem you've encountered in remote instruction. And we're going to pop this into the chat just in case you don't remember what I just said. It's totally fine. And then the P is the peer. So essentially what you're going to do, we're going to put you into breakout rooms, and you're going to share your strategies and your issues with each other. And you're going to pick someone to basically report back to the larger group. And we're going to also do the share. And that's when we are essentially reporting back to the larger group. And we're going to discuss a little bit further some of the strategies. So I'm going to, okay, Christina's already popping the TPS into the chat, and I'm going to put in the rest of it. You can do that real quick.
So while we go, if you want to just type in the chat, or if it works really well to just find a slip of paper anywhere, if you need to go away from the screen for a moment and you can just write down on regular piece of paper a strategy that you find effective for teaching online, or a problem you've encountered in remote instruction. And I know a couple people aren't teaching right now, so this could also just be a strategy you find effective for meeting with your colleagues online, or something that you're struggling and encountered along the way in remote work at home.
And you can also type your strategy inside of the chat if you prefer. So if you want to use a sheet of paper, that's totally fine. But if you want to also just type it inside the chat, that's also totally fine with us.
Descriptions, your clonazepam, and your serotriol.
We have about 60 seconds left.
So right now you're just typing in a strategy that you find effective for teaching online, or a problem that you might have encountered while teaching online. So either of those, if you could either write it on a sheet of paper or type it into the chat for us. Great, and we're seeing some things popping right now. Wonderful.
About 30 seconds left. Adashima, what do you think about reading some of these out loud just to share?
I think that's a great idea. So I'll just jump right in. So we see here that encouraging participation in discussion boards and finding a replacement for them. I think this is something that is common no matter what subject that you're teaching, that we want to make sure we're keeping our students engaged in participating. What else do we have here? We have using polls in Zoom. That's a good strategy. Posting detailed grading rubrics. Consistent and persistent participation on discussion board. That's the problem. We also have here getting students to participate in breakout rooms. So we're gonna hopefully that won't be a problem right now as we break you all into breakout rooms as well. Incentivizing participation. So I'm seeing a theme here around just general participation among the students. So let's see just a few more. A strategy here is think of an interesting, non-obvious question about the text to discuss in breakout rooms. Great, and then share with the class. That sounds a lot like a think, pair, share activity, actually. Okay. Lots of feedback, copious amounts of feedback. Okay, these are all very, very good strategies. And it seems like, again, some of the problems are around coordinating group assignments and ensuring that we're getting participation from our students.
There's some really good ideas here too about a Google slide prompt to give students a little bit more structure. So I think like structuring participation and really being more hands-on sounds like a good theme. Okay.
And then I see another problem here. This is a very good one. Teaching to black boxes on Zoom, right? So when people just mute their photos or even their names sometimes, and you just literally have a couple of black boxes, and you're still trying to be engaging, and that can definitely be a little bit of a struggle. That's a very real one.
Great.
So
shall we pair up?
See, this is a perfect example in Zoom, not knowing who should go first. So Christina, should we break our participants out into the actual breakout rooms? We all have the questions here on the side as well.
Yeah, I think it's time for everyone to get talking. I know I'm sick of hearing myself. So if you Katina, are you able to break everyone into breakout rooms?
Yep, I think so. Let me give it a try. And
so we're gonna
there
pair up
goes.
in these rooms and then we'll come back to the larger group. So if you could please pick someone to keep time, you only have about 5 minutes, 30 seconds-ish. So please pick someone in your group to keep time and pick someone, ideally an adjunct, if there's an adjunct in your group, to report back to the larger group when we all come back to share what was discussed. So in these groups, you're going to be sharing your strategy and or problems and talking about them. So pick a timekeeper to keep time and an adjunct to report back to the larger group. Or if there are no adjuncts in your group, basically picking the non-expert to share back with the group.
Okay, so we're gonna break you out now.
I think y'all should be going. Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay, good. Such a weird process.
Okay, so everyone should be in the breakout room, right?
I'm staying, sorry.
Okay.
Now everyone's in, and there's a fellow in each room.
Okay, so I'm going to breakout room 3. So
Okay.
it's room 3.
Are you able to go, or do I have to send you somehow?
It seems like I can't jump right in. Okay. It's letting
Really?
me
You should.
join room 2. I don't know why. I see a joint. Should I just pop into room 2? I'm just gonna
Sure.
go into room 2. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
I may be able to come over to 3. Do you want to go into any of them, Gus? We got live streaming sorted?
I'm trying to figure out, I was gonna type you, but this is live, by the way.
Yeah.
The main room.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah.
Good to know.
No, it's there are like 4 people. I assume 2 is you and me. So we have 2 extra people. You know, and it's fine. There is a delay of 5-10 seconds. But it's good to know. I just need to test a lot of things. It's like a lot of new things, but I want to make sure we got it. For example, whoever does this just needs to be logged in Google through Futures Initiative account. Even though I did everything, I linked the account, I give permissions. The time you click the button on live stream, you have to be connected to both Haystack and Futures on YouTube.
I see. Interesting.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Okay, I may mute my video
Okay.
while it's just us.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi there, we're in breakout rooms right now, so I will assign you to one of the groups so that you can chat with people.
Okay, great, thank you.
Great, sure. Let's see. I can figure out how to do so. Goose, are you still on here as well?
Yeah, go to the breakout room panel, and
Yeah.
then
Usually
you
I
have
see someone unassigned and then I can move them.
just, or maybe you can click on one of the rooms and it'll pop up the list of unassigned. No.
Nope. Well, my
Or
apologies.
participant. Go to participants. It's one of the two. Has to be one of the two. There is no other.
No other options.
No.
No, that's so strange. I can move somebody to the waiting room, but not into a breakout room. Strange. We're experimenting a little bit with this, but we'll be pulling everyone back in 2 minutes. So.
Oh, well, you know, did you look way at the top and way at the bottom of the breakout room? Because sometimes you can't see it.
Yeah, usually I see the unassigned folks at the top, and it's not even pulling up your name. Oh, here it is. Let's see. Okay, I think this will work. Apologies if it doesn't. Let's see. Did you get a notice about a breakout room? Nothing's
appearing right
Really?
now. No. Oh, let me open participants here. Let me see. No, nothing.
It's so strange. Okay, well, this is a useful experiment. I'm about to pull everyone back anyway, but I'm going to see if I can figure this out. Try something. I'm gonna, may I call you Joanne? I'm Katina.
Course, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna shift you to the waiting room and bring you back and just see if I'm able to put you into a breakout room after that. Everyone will be coming back soon, but I wanna make sure I know what the issue is and can figure it out.
Okay.
Let's see. Still no luck?
No, nothing.
Oh, that's so strange. All right. Well, if you don't mind hanging tight for just a minute, and then we'll be back into the main group discussion.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Hey, Katina.
Hey.
They are already assigned to room 3. Both.
Yeah,
Arsenio.
that's what I thought. But it seems like they're not getting the prompt to actually go into that room somehow. So I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong.
Did we try to move them?
Yeah. I tried moving them and I tried putting them back into the waiting room and then back into the main room and then reassigning, and neither of those worked. So I'm not sure. It's strange.
This is even weird. Yeah. I also want to know how to fix this, but this is even weirder because if they both are assigned.
Yeah. Yeah. Gus, I think let's go ahead and pull people back into the main discussion room now. All right, it should be starting to move people back now.
I had a heck of a time logging in to Eventbrite, I must say.
We've been hearing that. Oh, my video is still off, isn't it? We're definitely experimenting with how best to do these online. I think we still have some kinks to work out. Thanks for persisting. I'm sorry for the challenges.
So what were they discussing?
So they were doing a Think, Pair, Share activity, thinking about the challenges that they have been encountering in online education and strategies that they have for digital pedagogy. And then they'll be sharing back from each of 4 breakout rooms.
Oh, great.
Once everybody's back here.
Okay.
Welcome back, everyone.
Okay.
So I hope that you had a productive and engaging session. And I just want to point out something. So Christina and I are going to be writing up a blog post sharing some of our best practices that we use when teaching online. And hopefully we can also include some of the things that are discussed today. So if there's anything that was missed, you didn't get a chance to write it down, or you know, that sounded like a great idea, don't worry. We're gonna write up a full recap and it's gonna include as much as we can. And as well, this entire session has been recorded, so we will make that available to individuals as well. So I'm looking for Christina in all these spaces. I don't quite
I'm
see.
here.
Oh, I see, you're down there now, okay.
Sorry, my computer takes a while to move from breakout rooms to big sessions.
Can I ask a question about
Sure.
what Adishima, is that what you're
Adashima, yes.
Adashima. Beautiful name.
Thank you.
When you share that, do we have permission to also share it to our platforms? I'm asking because I'm in California and I represent an adjunct only union. We're the largest adjunct only union in California. And so we're always trying to share not just, you know, sort of labor issues, but teaching strategies. And so I would love to share that on my respective platforms. And I just wanted to make sure I have your permission to do so. I was literally texting my executive board saying, oh my goodness, I'm in this wonderful training session. So
yes, you can share. We post all of our stuff. We like to have most of our stuff to be public facing so that it can be shared at a later date.
Thank you.
Yes, no problem.
So how much time do we want to give to each group to report back?
So we have 25 minutes left total before the end. How many groups did we have? I don't know how many groups.
Tina, you're muted.
Sorry, 4 groups.
Oh, okay. So maybe a couple minutes each and then a larger discussion?
Yes. So maybe about 3 to 5 minutes for each group and we'll keep time.
Okay. I was in group 1. I picked Jack.
Okay, so group 1, let's hear from you all.
You refuse.
I refuse. I'm part of the group participant. I refuse.
Well,
how about you, Tanya?
That's very real. Thank you for that.
Tanya, do you mind?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear what you said. No, I don't mind, but let me pull up the Google Doc that you said you put all the information in, because of course I wasn't taking notes. And
we'll try to capture some notes on the side as well.
Sure.
Here, I'll put our notes in the chat too, so everyone has.
Okay. Oh, okay, thank you. I was like, wait, I can't find it. Okay, so yeah, so I started by sharing, what am I doing? What's my job? I'm just sharing what we talked about in our group, right? Is that what I'm doing?
Just like a brief summary.
Okay, yes. So we all shared some strategies. I shared a strategy about using a Google form to do a warm-up activity with my community college class. Melanie shared that she, although is not teaching right now, she is doing curriculum development. So I take that to mean that she's also sort of allowing by osmosis all of these things that she's hearing, but also that her children, she's at home with her children, which I just think, wow, amazing, that are doing distance learning. And so taking
I'm gonna mute this.
okay. She's taken some strategies from them, which include what to do in breakout rooms, because she was hearing from her children, one of her children in particular, that like they go in the breakout room and then it's kind of like you can drop a pin. It's just so quiet. And so how to, some strategies for dealing with when they get into the breakout room, like giving them a Google slide prompt to work on. Christopher talked about ways in which he is trying to do a put the face with the, oh, there he is. Yeah. To make sure that I'm getting the right person, talked about, because he teaches asynchronously, that he uses just some struggles that he was having with discussion boards, and that students are regularly, consistently, a third of them sort of not participating, and how to do that. And so others chimed in. I think Jack chimed in on this, some ways that he deals with that, because he also teaches asynchronously, which includes, which I wrote down, which is a really good strategy, making stable groups. So having one group, having a regular group, I should say, for each of the students. They can feel more familiar with each other.
What's going on, you stupid niggers? Yo.
Okay.
Oh, we got the Zoom
The house, can you please remove all this meeting? Thank you. Thank you. Remove. Kill the niggers. Kill the niggers. Thank you.
What? I apologize for that. We're trying to kick that person out.
They're out.
And the one before, wasn't the one before that was talking, wasn't that?
I saw another name.
Well,
I think it was two, but
They're
it's
both
okay.
out.
We can refocus.
I'm sorry, everyone.
Yeah, that's okay.
Focus.
Real problem, right? It's a real problem.
Yes,
and so, so I think I covered everyone in our group. Oh, Dr. S, she talked about students. I think I missed this part when she was talking. Get to pick a question. Oh, that they have some liberty with picking questions. It's not just one question. And Josh reminded us to not be so hard on ourselves, to be more generous to ourselves, and talked about, you know, setting that bar. We're trying to set the bar so high, and maybe that we should just not be so hard on ourselves, and set more reasonable expectations. Having a mediator or another teacher in the groups, giving them jobs, is also helpful. So I feel like that was long-winded, but
it was very helpful though. It was very helpful. So thank you.
Sure.
Okay, so group 2, does someone from group 2 want to go next? I don't know who was in group 2.
I was in group 2 and I took notes, so I can go, but if folks want to add in anything, that would be helpful too. So a lot of our conversation kind of sounds similar to the group that just went. A lot of us kind of talked about the black boxes, like when students either turn their camera off and either just walk away from the lesson and physically are not there, or just like trying to figure out how to engage with students when teaching online. A couple of suggestions and strategies that folks offered were that, you know, mentioning that a lot of, while cheating happens during a lot of high stakes exams, offering like lower stakes, like regular quizzes or ways of having regular participation to encourage students to remain engaged. Another one, someone suggested that they had met had like a scheduled face-to-face like meet and greets with all their students before classes began, and found that this was really helpful in kind of building relationships and encouraging participation, and also like setting expectations with what the class was going to be like. And what else did we talk about? I guess also, you know, questions about how to integrate the Zoom chat into like teaching, like how to both like acknowledge the questions that were coming up, and someone suggested to, you know, to particularly acknowledge students when they raise good questions, to like use their names and that would help to encourage further participation and engagement. And yeah, also a reminder to be gentle on ourselves and to be kind to ourselves, that it's a really challenging semester and that folks are feeling like the teaching a class involves even more labor online, and you know that's just something that we need to be gentle with ourselves on. If anybody else in my group wants to jump in with anything I might have forgotten or neglected to mention, please do.
Thumbs up.
Hey, great job. Okay, group 3.
Okay, so I took notes, but please, people from the group, if I leave anything out.
Thank you, Cheryl.
I think we did a general, to sum it up, we sort of also did a general sort of overview of how to create community, maybe a little bit among our classes. A lot of this was about. So to make space for chit chat, both with ourselves and the students. Kathy Davidson talked about that she had them write a cookbook together, which I thought was great, and pick their own music. And a few people were using music where students get to, one person, and I don't remember everyone who put them in the names, so excuse me, picking a different student each week to be the DJ to run some music that I guess they get to choose. Doing a lot of collaborative work. So someone uses Jamboard for having students collaborate together. That's a Google tool, I believe. If students, we talked a little bit at the end about black boxes. If students, one suggestion was if students don't turn their cameras on, then ask them not to leave it black, but to put then a picture or a favorite artwork or something, and then that becomes kind of, you know, representational for the students. So and you learn something about them. I don't know, I think that's pretty much what I wrote down. Anything else?
One more thing. So we spoke also about getting students permission when asking them to post things on public facing platforms. That was something that came up because maybe a student is having a bad day and they might be blogging about it internally to the class, but maybe not actually requiring a student to post that in a public facing document.
Yeah, that came up when we were talking a little bit about if you record the sessions, are students really going to be comfortable? Could something get out? So being very, very aware, thank you, of reminding me, being very, very aware of what that can mean, especially for students who may be from, you know, more vulnerable for various reasons or feel more vulnerable. From underrepresented groups or whatever. So yeah, that's a real problem.
Anyone else want to add anything from group 3, or can we move on to group 4? Okay, group 4, let's hear. What do you all have to say? Who's in group 4? Anybody? Was there group 4?
Yep, I'm gonna report back for us. Okay. I'm trying to take notes. I'm doing it all. Come on,
thank you, Lauren.
You're a superstar, Lauren.
So we discussed a lot of different things, but we discussed how to do a successful active discussion board on the Canvas, I believe it is, platform. I haven't done anything on there, but there's some issues going on in that space. So, you know, we were just, you know, just venting about that. Also a suggestion was limiting the discussion to one day and not allowing it to run on, again, depending on what platform you're on, if it's like a discussion board or a message board, and like you can give like a prompt to students on there, and sometimes that can come back with like so much content that you'll never really get around the full cohort of students, and it could be an issue. So again, just depending on how you're, you know, structuring your class, depending on what you want to get accomplished, is a really big challenge with us being online. We did speak about using the Blackboard space. I don't know, you know, how many people were within CUNY exclusively within our group, but we actually had good feedback about Blackboard, which was surprising to me because I have been a student that's been on Blackboard, and from a student's lens, I feel like it was fine, but I haven't heard the same feedback from a professor's view. So actually I was very good to hear that there are teachers that are having positive experiences with it. And this is someone who was teaching, an adjunct that was teaching in anthropology in that space. So, and with a cohort of 40 students. So that was good. He spoke about him basically putting his rubric up ahead of time, and just that it really makes it easy for him to teach because, again, the attendance is taken there and there's not a lot of things that he has to do in a separate space when in the midst of trying to teach the coursework. So that seems to be working well. A challenge was coming up with good writing prompts, especially, you know, depending on, again, what platform you're on. If you're on a message board, or, you know, if this is supposed to be like a Zoom setting and you're doing like a Google Doc and you're expecting people to write in there, depending on where you are and what you're doing, it can take on pros and cons. But just good writing prompts in general have been an issue. We spoke about how student-centered learning is imperative and that the students really need to be engaged and given agency for what they're learning and what they're doing in the classroom. It's like, we can't emphasize enough how the students need agency. It cannot just be a dictation and, you know, just very old school and, you know, not incorporating new thoughts and, you know, just new methods. We need to really, really let the students, you know, lead and have ownership on what they're doing. Am I forgetting anything? My other wonderful group members, anything that I'm leaving out? Let me see.
Having the students ask their questions. I forget who was it wasn't my idea, it was someone else's. Getting the students ideas for questions.
Yes, and just letting them actually pose questions to their peers and having ownership and, you know, agency within the class in that way seems to be a big hit. And then, we also spoke about trying to think of ways to engage subject matter, but like from a lighter approach. I wouldn't say like an icebreaker or entry record, but possibly. And also maybe, because I forget who it was that said they really liked the idea of doing this by like a game method, but also wasn't sure how much they were willing to do in like a Jeopardy form, as Adashima was mentioning. Like he said he loved the idea, but he maybe didn't know exactly how to, you know, formulate it for anthropology, but very interested in taking on new methods and new approaches in a lighter perspective to try to be more of like a warm up or icebreaker.
Wow.
I think that's everything.
That's a lot.
It was in a small time.
Yeah, I'm really amazed. It's so great.
Was there a fifth group?
I think it was just 4.
Okay.
There's been some great chatter in the chat, for lack of a better, chatter chat. There are some really great ideas. I just want to read out loud a couple. Some people are using Padlet, and thanks Colleen for posting a link. It's like a mini academic Instagram that you can make private. A couple other things, Sharona shared doing a self-introduction on the first discussion board, posting a representational visual and then asking other students to respond what they think the visual told them about the student. I personally am really curious, and we can jump into Q&A if that's okay with you, Adashima.
Yes, that's fine.
I would just love to hear, especially from adjuncts, what kind of self-care is working for you? Because I know we're really struggling, and like part of this is about maintaining our own engagement and interest and vibrancy and like excitement about teaching. And so I'd love to hear what's keeping you excited about teaching right now, and how are you doing that? I'll just start. I typically have lunch with some kind of coffee or caffeinated ice cream. And it's like, you know, because I have instant access to my freezer, that keeps me going for the afternoon.
Okay. I'll add really quickly, what's keeping me sane is I take lots of really long walks, and it helps me to gather my thoughts, and I like to play some good music while I'm walking. Any other thing that I'd like to do is sometimes just complain to somebody else who's an adjunct, somebody to just vent about what you're going through, particularly if you're teaching in a public university with limited support.
I watch Spanish novelas on Netflix to keep up with my Spanish.
Nice.
Nice.
You have a favorite?
Narcos.
Oh, I know that one.
And there's another one called Always a Witch.
Ooh.
From Colombia. She was enslaved in the 16th century, but she comes back to the 21st century. And she goes back and forth between the 21st and 16th century. So she has these magical powers. It's kitschy and lame, but I can practice Spanish, so I like it.
Others, do you want to type into the chat or tell us, unmute yourself and tell us, what are you doing to stay excited about teaching online during all that's going on in our world right now?
I really like Tanya's turning off her work notifications from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. I did the same thing. I no longer let my email push to my phone.
Well, hi, I got here late. I'm actually trying to bring a lot of the current events into the classroom. I had a discussion board post about the use of hate language against Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez by the representative Yoho from Florida. Students love that. They had very strong opinions about that topic. The debate the other night, which actually devastated me, I brought that in at the beginning of class and was just chatting informally about that and hearing what students had to say about it. So yeah, bringing current events into the class as much as I can without overwhelming everybody, myself included. And also, it's just really this online teaching is a challenge in itself. So it's kind of like, am I going to rise to the challenge or not? So that's a little bit what keeps me in the game. Thank you.
So we can read some from the chat. So Jack says that he tells his students that he's going to respond to emails within 24 hours and 48 hours on weekends. He usually responds as soon as he can, but his official policy is 24 hours. So basically giving yourself some space. Someone else mentioned watching Nollywood movies. I also like those. So those are the Nigerian Bollywood movies, if you will. Yoga is another strategy for keeping you sane or excited about teaching. Let's see, what else do we have here?
I'll add, sometimes I incorporate yoga into my class where we start with a poem and we do like some kind of yoga pose while we listen to like an actor or actress read the poem, just to get away from the screen and incorporate movement into the class.
There was also a comment about group chats. I think that's also a great way to find support, making sure that we're able, I love when Adashima said complaining, because like making sure that we're able to speak, I think, about what we're facing with someone who can empathize a little bit at least. I think that's very useful.
Can I ask Josh from my group, we kind of got cut off and he was talking about how we really need to be more generous to ourselves. And I'd just love to hear you say a little bit more about how you're being generous to yourself right now.
Well, it's the classic do as I say, but I don't do it. Whatever the phrase is. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's important, like in normal times, to do your hobbies and all of that, and stay away from work some of the time. I really like the comment about switching off at weekends and evenings, because, well, I'm in the UK. I'm on this call at 8 o'clock at night. It's so it's difficult, isn't it? But I think if we accept that it's going to be challenging, then we can work through it, you know.
So during our last 5 minutes, we want to use this time to see if you have any questions for myself or Christina, or if you just have any sort of closing remarks about how this session was for you.
This session, if I may, was like so wonderful and so like evidence of being kind to myself for me. Because I think having been an educator for a long time, I always am concerned about not like feeding my professional development spirit. That's what I call whenever I go to professional development, like I need to feed that spirit. And I feel like I've missed out on that. Particularly being an adjunct, which has its challenges, right? But to be able to attend something among people that are like me, to get my professional development spirit fed in a professional way. Like you guys started on time, you kept to the schedule, you adhered to the agenda, you had wonderful strategies. I mean, I know that you're recording it, but I've taken notes, like, and I'm leaving at the time that you said, you know, armed, and that has just been like wonderful. I feel like my heart's jumping out of my chest from like such excitement at how wonderful this was. So I don't know again if I answered your question, but but it was great. This was just great.
So thank you for that, Tonya. So there's a question in a comment in the chat from Laura, and Laura is asking, can we speak to about how do we give students support, asking students to give support and feedback. So sometimes they use inappropriate language, or they don't, I guess maybe the feedback is not substantial enough. Is that what you're suggesting, Laura? I don't want to misquote you.
I actually just did something today. Oh, Lord, yeah, if you don't mind clarifying. Because I did something today where my students modeled good feedback and really bad feedback on fake projects. And so we all kind of heard good and bad like ways of participating and ways to like clarify feedback. But it sounds like it's about activities.
Yes, I did find this practical. In fact, I asked a question in the group about finding something that wasn't so culturally specific, like Jeopardy, for example. Since I teach such a multicultural student body at a community college in the city, first time college, English language learners. And then when we came back to group, the idea of music DJ was perfect, because every student from every part of the world has a kind of music that they could contribute to the class. So that was a perfect, so this worked out really great for me. And since we're all in time management as adjuncts, those of us who are teaching, because we don't get paid for certain amounts of time, I thought this was a very efficient use of time. So I want to second what Tanya said.
Thank you. We should all thank ourselves for feeding our professional selves.
So we want to adhere to the time. So it's coming on 3 p.m. So we thank you all for participating. And again, Christina and I are going to co-author a blog post about this session where we sort of summarize some of the things that were discussed. And this recording has also been live on YouTube, so you can watch it at a later date. You can share the link with individuals in your network. And thank you for joining us. And I hope that you follow the Futures Initiative and all the great work that we are doing for higher education.
You're all amazing. You're
so
doing
much.
Amazing work. Thank you.
Christina and Nadashima, thank you so much. Thanks everybody for joining us. I might just add that we'll edit the video so that you can share something that's a bit cleaner with other contacts in your networks. Our next event, if you would like to,
thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Our next event will be on October 6th. It's actually going to be hosted by the University of Virginia, but co-sponsored by the Graduate Center. And Jihan Takai and I will be speaking about the future of graduate education and how we think that it can be reimagined as well. If you have not yet subscribed to our newsletter, you can do that on futuresinitiative.org, and that'll keep you up to date with all of the latest events. So thank you all so much for coming. Christina and Adashima, you've been wonderful hosts. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
I thank you.
I need to save the chat.
You can do it by clicking that.
Yeah, I see how to, yeah, because sometimes I forget to save it. Can
Hey, now that it's down to just our folks, guys, I'm really sorry. I was managing participants coming in and something looked funny about that name and I should have trusted my instinct. So
it's how, I mean, not all the names are like that. Like, how
Yeah.
can you tell the difference between?
There is no way.
No.
One of them had a really like classic name and
That's true.
Yeah.
And also people get in and then copy another person's name. That's how they do in my class. That's why I had to leave.
Shitty.
I didn't know about that.
Well, what they did in my class, what they entered, and I cannot control really